From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a great afternoon of Afternoons LA for May 4th of 2022 with your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. The Federal Reserve has just spoken, saying we're getting a half basis point increase as expected for our interest rates at that May FOMC meeting. But what did they give guidance thereafter? Or did they? Well, the latest details in today's breaking news. But the great news as we start a big, bold, beautiful day before Cinco de Drinka is that there is a fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state tonight. Let's drink to that. Get your Michitini ready. A fourth stimulus check has now landed in every U.S. state. I think I want a side of banana bread with this one. So that's why you want to become a member. Go to the top of the channel and pin comment and become a member, Purple Hawk or Purple Power of Calcino VIP. To learn about those four stimulus checks that are now in every U.S. state and thousands of viewers this channel have gotten, I'll show you how to get it over this broadcast. We'll return to that student loan debt forgiveness, a likely determination on more debt to be forgiven in just a few days. What's the guidance today on Wall Street about interest rates at the June FOMC meeting in view of what happened with Jay Powell today? And what does that mean for your SSI and SSDI and Social Security and Railroad veterans benefits as well? We're heading into recession. I've been reporting for several months, but what do we know today about what Joe Biden said and didn't say about the Build Back Better Act today? Oh, this is interesting. It's very rare when a Democratic publication checks a Democratic president on what he said or didn't say. It's getting a very Real Housewives. It's sort of like a Real Housewives reunion. And Joe, you didn't tell the whole story. I'll go over what Joe did and didn't tell in the whole story and what it means about your money. Then we'll be turning back into those incredible checks. We'll be turning to Build Back Better Act checks. We'll be turning to the SS300 checks. We'll be turning to 6 stimulus checks. And then we're going to go to those big checks that have now landed in every U.S. state. You have passed LA 101. You have passed LA 202. And now you're ready for the class of LA 303 today. We're going to go over those big checks, how you get them, and how you're going to pounce and apply for them today. Today we're going to learn how to apply for those 4 stimulus checks. And the excitement starts right here, right now, as Afternoons LA gets underway. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day for May 4th, 2022. This is Afternoons LA, and the breaking news just came in from Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve. As a side note, the afternoon show that airs at 1 o'clock aired right before this one, and the one at 3 o'clock, which you're watching right now, is usually taped earlier in the morning. But I held the taping of the show until I got the statement from the FOMC meeting and Jay Powell minutes ago. And so this is literally a breaking news report. We'll have more about these details, of course, in Evenings LA. But this is a breaking news report. The Federal Reserve just minutes ago said he's doing a half basis point increase on those interest rates at this May FOMC meeting, which wrapped day 2 today. Jay Powell also addressed the public as well. This is no surprise because he had said he was going to do a half basis point. This is big because it impacts your SS300, but it also impacts your Build Back Better Act in a way, and it impacts your 6 stimulus. We'll be cutting to the breaking news on that, but let me just tell you what the reaction to the news, which is a little bit even more important than the news, because we already knew it was going to be a half basis point, and the reaction is really surprising. 100% of Wall Street insiders now believe that the embedded risk in the markets today is that the next 4 meetings of the FOMC will have half basis point increases. Yeah, you heard me right. That they now believe that the risk embedded to the U.S. markets is 4 more half basis point increases. Excuse me, that sounds severe. It is severe. I'll go over it in just a second. And that 50% now believe that the risk embedded in the markets is about three quarters of a raise. Ooh, Boy, things change really quickly. Yeah, that's why you can't miss a video on this channel. Now, the great news today is that a forced stimulus check is landing in every U.S. state. Let's repeat that back with me. This is LA 101. Taught to the viewers of this channel, the introductory lesson started on Monday when I said the very basic class we're taking now, folks, is a forced stimulus check is landing in every U.S. state. That's LA 101. Then LA 202 is going over what those checks are. That we did that yesterday. Viewers now understand what those different forced stimulus checks are. And today we'll be doing LA 303, in which we go over how to get at least one of those checks. Tomorrow we're going to go over how to get a second check. So what do you want to do? You want to become a member. Go to the top of the chat, pin comment, get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time via the YouTube alert system. As we go into a big afternoon today, we have a fascinating bit about the Build Back Better Act. And I gotta laugh because it's very rare that a Democratic publication is checking a Democratic president on what he's saying. It's sort of like, 2 years ago when the most liberal publication was checking Donald Trump on factual statements. Well, that's what they did today with Joe Biden, and it concerned Build Back Better Act. What happened? Well, Joe Biden, minutes ago, right after the Federal Reserve's statement came out, said the following: we're on track to cut the federal deficit by another $1.5 trillion by the end of the fiscal year, the biggest decline in a single year in American history. This is a statement by Joe Biden, written by the White House today, May 4th, 2022. How accurate is it? It's about as accurate as zucchini boats are motorized. It's about as accurate as lobster shorts wave back at you at the beach. It's very inaccurate. You know why it's inaccurate. Pause for a second. Why do you think this statement is inaccurate? I bet you know if you're a viewer of this channel. Yeah, you got it right. It's inaccurate because he's taking out the Build Back Better Act. He's saying that we're cutting $1.5 trillion by the end of the year. Yeah, that's if you forget about the Build Back Better Act. And that is what the liberal publications are saying. Mr. President, you're going to pass the Build Back Better Act. Everyone knows you are, which is actually reassuring to you. They all think that he's going to pass it. But he excluded it in the statement because it's not passed at the time the statement was made. Oh, that's just really parsing your words, Joe. He's basically excluding it because it hasn't been passed at the time of today's statement. Comments were more frugal because he's also, guess what he's also doing? He's taken out of the COVID spending from last year, which we're not spending anymore on. And so now we're not spending that much money because you're not spending on COVID. Are you spending it on Ukraine? That's another video. We reduced the federal borrowing and we helped combat inflation. No, you didn't. Bringing down the deficit is one of the easiest ways to ease inflationary pressures in an economy where the consequences of a war, which we're spending billions on, and gas prices, which we haven't solved anything about yet, and oil and food, which we haven't even looked at yet, let alone talk, that sixth stimulus. It's a different world right this moment because of what's happening. Isn't that such a great quote? It wouldn't survive at a Real Housewives reunion. It would get eaten up alive, that type of quote. That's Build Back Better Act. Now, internally, what the president has said to his staff, I can't believe that was a quote from Joe Biden. Brian D.C., did you write that? Is that how they teach you to write at Yale? And then you run for New York to Columbia, where we would eat you up alive with a quote like that? Yeah. Insiders at Joe Biden White House say that the president has now put Build Back Better Act front and center. Just don't include it in the calculations when you release a news statement. Has put Build Back Better Act front and center is going to pass in the next few days. In fact, they say they're going to vote on it by Memorial Day weekend. That's why you release this quote right away before the vote is on the Build Back Better Act. And they're like, oh, that quote. Well, that, you can throw that quote in the garbage now. It means nothing anymore. Now, I believe that Build Back Better Act will may get bipartisan support or a version of it. Why? Because the midterm elections are right around the corner. And you're not voting on November. You're voting 3 months ahead of time because most people vote by mail now. And the way that people will vote this time around is the party that gives them something. And if one party gives them something and the other doesn't, they're going to vote for the party that gave them something. It's pretty simple. We covered this in 2020. We're covering it now in 2022. The Democrats, if they get Build Back Better Act done, the Republicans will tarnish in the midterms because they'll point at the Republicans and say, they got you nothing, we got you something. If the Democrats do Build Back Better Act by themselves and it does not pass, they'll go down in flames in the midterm elections because the Republicans will point at them and say, you're in control. You got the House and the Senate. You got nothing done. If they do things together, guess what happens? They get to braid each other's hair. No, they get to wear matching lobster shorts. Oh, I hope not. They get to walk at the beach and wave at each other like a waveable check. Yeah, maybe. But they get to take credit for both helping you, and then it's sort of a wash. Then they have to go into the midterm elections and run on the platform of their hairstyle. Joe, no one's going to win. Yeah, no one's going to win. So it's one of those days, don't you think? Yeah, this is what happens at LA 303. It's a great class. It wasn't. Don't you remember in college? The first 2 years, the classes were boring, but by the time you got to the advanced level, it was so much fun. You know, it was for me. The professors inviting you to their home to have their horrible cooked meals. I mean, how can you cook bad in New York? It's just so there you go. In LA 303 today, we're going to learn about how to get those forced stimulus checks in your hands. Now, Build Back Better Act is after. There is currently a fourth stimulus check in every U.S. state. Not because of Build Back Better Act, because of what I'm going to show you coming up in just a second. Viewers learned that on LA 101. Then they learned what the checks were yesterday on LA 202. Today we're going to go over how to apply for those checks in LA 303. Now, what Build Back Better Act proposes is additional checks on top of that. $15,000 to $80,000 of them. Great stuff. Those 3 clusters of those 3 add-ons, which we've covered on this channel in recent months. And those incredible checks are basically still in there, with the exception of the checks which I've detailed that have been removed. Those incredible checks, of course, are home repairs, are for things like paid leave, the $25,000 for the purchase of your first home from Maxine Waters, of course, the push for MSC, the $250 billion of free home health care, the second cluster, the first cluster, the hazard pay. I forgot about that. That is so wonderful. So that is Build Back Better Act. Remember, they're now trying to get this to a vote by Memorial Day weekend. And if they do, they really have to negotiate out the settlement of the terms of what they're going to put in there this month. They got to get it done this month. This is clicking because remember the midterm elections, which I sort of got on point, that I got off a point just a second ago. They got to get this check out by about August. If they get it out by August, they got to agree upon it by now before they tee up the vote. The economic data is all poor, and Joe Biden certainly talked about in that quote, whether he wrote it or Brian Deasy. But Jay Powell today just wrapped his FOMC meeting. This is huge economic news. This is massive economic news. It's massive economic news. It's the most important economic news you're seeing on this channel this entire week, because it's not only what Jay Powell said, but also what he didn't say, and also what the reaction was to the news. Now, let's be very frank. We already knew what he was going to give us today. Half basis point interest rates for this May FOMC meeting. We already knew this. He told us this last month. That's the way the Federal Reserve works. They give you guidance so they don't shock you. Now, what was the reaction today? Wall Street is up slightly, but the reaction was today that people are now very, very aggressive in their think about what's happening in June. 100% of Wall Street insiders now believe that the risk embedded into the markets, Wall Street markets, is a half basis point increase over the next 4 FOMC meetings. More about that in a second. It just takes my breath away. And that 56% now believe that there's going to be 3 75% increases, a quarter basis point increase. Excuse me. What happened in 24 hours here? What happened in 24 hours again? I have a commentary about this. You know, I'm a little, I don't want to say sick of it, but I'm a little bit sort of like annoyed with these analysts who on a Monday will say, we're doing a quarter basis one for the rest of the year. Goodbye. Then the next day we're saying that, oh, we're doing 50 half basis point. And then the day after that to say, we're going to do like 25,000 basis points for the next year, 25 years. I'm like, what type of analysis is that? If you change so dramatically every 24 hours, there's nothing that's really changed in the American economy in 3 days, folks. Let's say that again. There's not much that's changed in our economy in the last 3 days, but the projections of what Jay Powell's doing has gone from this to this in 3 days, and he didn't change either. So I'm just a little sick of these Wall Street insiders who literally, they do this and then they're like, oh, we're going to dramatically change. It's sort of like, Bugs Bunny Speedrunner taking off real fast and then crashing down the side of the hill. So there you go. The situation for your benefits, well, now it gets interesting. Now, for the first time, you heard me pause because I'm thinking about this. Now it's getting interesting. Why? Remember, Joe Biden said he's going to swap COLA for inflation to raise your benefits up. That would lock in your inflationary rate. Your benefits are currently tied to COLA, and that COLA rate is determined every December. Last December was 5%. You got cheated. Joe Biden promised in his presidential platform to swap COLA for inflation. That would raise your benefits up a lot more based upon the inflationary rate. The inflationary rate was 8% last December. I projected that right, not 12 seconds before it came out either. I projected it all last year. And I said it was going to stay at 8% and not come down for a while. I was right. It was 8% in December, January, February, March. And then I said it went higher. It did go higher in the month of April. So I said in early April, I was worried by late April that Jay Powell's going to get inflation down. He didn't. So then I said I was fine. I'm still fine with Joe Biden making that swap from COLA to inflation. Yesterday I said I was fine as well. Today I'm a little worried because if so many Wall Street analysts now believe there'll be 4 half basis point increases, which I was projecting 2, as they were, 24 hours ago. And now 56% of them are projecting multiple 3/4 basis point increases instead of half. If either of those projections are true, then you could see this inflation dropping very quickly between July and about September. It wouldn't be now. It wouldn't be now because we just got today's announcement. It wouldn't be in the next meeting because the next meeting is going to be half. I already said that was going to be half. It's this sort of early fall, which is getting very problematic. Takeaway, Joe, make the call. Hashtag Joe, make the call. Swap that COLA for inflation. Contact that Social Security Administrator head and say, you know what? I need to talk to you about something. Liz Warren wears her collars up too often. I need to talk to you about Bernie's mittens. I need to talk to you about Janet Yellen. She's always yelling. No, I need to talk to you about swapping COLA for inflation. COLA for inflation. Swap it right today because Jay Powell's bringing down that inflationary rate and I want to get my people on benefits like Social Security that lift before inflation goes down. My worry today is that I think inflation will go down by about September. Not in May. Not really in August. Not May, not June. But I'm a little worried about July. Maybe August. September is looking very problematic. This is why Joe needs to make that swap from COLA to inflation. Now, Wall Street Insider says the president's refocusing his domestic agenda back on his domestic agenda and is refocusing the White House back on doing Build Back Better Act. True or false? That's what the White House says. What do I say? You're trying to refocus back your domestic agenda on Build Back Better Act. Well, Joe, let me recap for you. Last Friday, you had a press conference about Ukraine. This Monday, you had a press conference about Ukraine. Yesterday, you went to a factory that builds the Javelin, which is shipping to Ukraine. I mean, how many more press conferences in 7 days can you have about Ukraine? How many press conferences have you had about Build Back Better Act? There's been about as many press conferences about Build Back Better Act as there have been Lobster Fest pep rallies. Come on. If you want the message to get out, do the message. Do the message, Joe. And do the Macarena. How about Cinco de Mayo? So there you go. What's important to know is that he needs to really walk the walk and not just talk the talk. Now, the good news is that 4 stimulus checks have landed in every U.S. state. Thank goodness. A 4 stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state, and this was LALATE 101 on this channel 2 days ago. Viewers have now learned it, have absolutely learned it. Every U.S. state has a 4 stimulus check. It's present tense, that sentence. Every state has currently a 4 stimulus check in their state. In fact, many states have multiple 4 stimulus checks. In fact, they do. Let's repeat it again. A 4 stimulus check is now in every U.S. state. Yesterday, members of this channel and you also learned LA 202. What are the 4 stimulus checks? Today, we're going to learn how to get the 4 stimulus checks. This is LA 303. And tomorrow, we're going to learn how to get a 2 of the checks. It's huge. But first, I wanted you to become a member. Go to the top of the chat, go to the pinned comment, become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Then get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let's understand where we are on Build Back Better Act and SS300 and 6 stimulus and student loan debt forgiveness. That was a long sentence. Before we go into the second half. First, many insiders believe that the Build Back Better Act will get passed in before Memorial Day weekend. If so, it would give you additional, say it again, additional forced stimulus checks, because there's already a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Build Back Better Act would give you additional forced stimulus checks. Next, SS300. Joe Biden needs to make that swap from cold inflation right today. That would raise your benefits up $200 more per month. Not just this month, not just this year, but lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Then, if inflation tracks about 4% later this year, which I gotta say, Wall Street analysts were still saying that number today as well. Yesterday, some people were saying 8% by the end of the year. But they were still saying a high inflation rate at the end of the year. That would be another $100 on top of that. That's great news across the board. 6 stimulus is getting very interesting in the last 24 hours. There's a new likelihood it could get passed very quickly. I'll have the latest on that coming up after the commercial break. And then student loan debt forgiveness. We are about 30 days away from seeing the final determination. I'm projecting it's going to be $10,000. How it would work, it's coming up in just a second. But after that commercial break, we're going to go over these incredible forced stimulus checks. Again, a forced stimulus check is landing in every U.S. state. That was the basic class I taught you, LATE 101. Then yesterday, we went over the next class. What were the checks? We'll recap that today. Today, we go over how to get the checks. Wow, exciting. Become a member. Go to the top of the chat, pin, comment, become a Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Congratulations to the hundreds, you heard me right, hundreds of new members in just 24 hours. Become a member. Get that incredible newsletter Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're a member, pull the newsletter out right now, and I want you to have it in front of you as we go into the second half. I refer to it almost like a workbook. It's like a workbook. It repeats what I say on air, just on pen, just written out, so you can follow along and see what I'm saying on air. It's like a transcript of what I'm saying on air. Get it out, because in the second half, we're going to go over all those incredible checks. From my land to your land. That sounds like the opening line to a musical. From my land to your land. From Crayola land to Muddle Blue land. We got a lot of money coming up in the second half. But first, here's a little bit about the members community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds with how to get those big checks. Are you ready? I am. Stay with me. I'll see you back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on a big afternoon to LA for May 4th, 2022. How are you? Are you looking good? Are you feeling good? It's Cinco de Mayo in just, a few blinks of an eye, or, double blinking of an eye if it's Cinco de Drinko for you. But We're coming off on exciting details. And this exciting details is that a forced stimulus check is available in every U.S. state. And in the second half, we're going to go over all those incredible details starting right now. We're going to recap what we've learned over this last few days with LA 101, LA 202, and LA 303 tomorrow. It's huge, and we're going to start right here, right now. First, if you're new to this channel, let me tell you what you're watching. You're watching America's most watched show for financial news in prime time, Evenings LA, every night at 5 o'clock on this channel. And this is LALATE, the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America. But I do something you don't see anywhere else. I give people big sums of money. Gotten viewers over $35 million over 2.5 years. I know how to do it. Been doing it since March 25th when this channel launched in 2020. Now, I've learned the best way to teach people how to get money is to tell them in a video format on this channel. I show it to you, but in recent weeks, what I've done is I have now put it also in written format, what I call the newsletter. The purpose of that is to also give you like a workbook. You listen to the video and then you have a workbook. So let's start with what we learned in LA 101 just 2 days ago. LA 101, we learned that a forced stimulus check is in every U.S. state. Let's say that again. A fourth stimulus check has landed in every U.S. state and is paying by direct deposit. Let's look at the graphic and repeat back with me. A forced stimulus check has now landed in every U.S. state and is paying by direct deposit. Repeat it, because when you understand that, you're ready to go to LA 202. LA 101 is such a simple class to pass. All you have to do is understand that, and we're ready to move on. Who's failed LA 101? I'll give you an example of someone who's failed LA 101. Someone who walks into a baking class, and we're baking a banana bread, and they say, "I can't have it, I'm vegetarian." Get out of here. Come on already. It's banana bread. It is vegetarian. Someone who walks into electrical engineering class and says, has electricity been invented yet? Get out of here. So we got to start on a basic note here. There's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Okay, I got it. That's easy. That's all I had to know. Yeah, that's all you have to know for LA 101. Once you're past that, then we go to the next class, which we learned yesterday. What are the checks? What are the forced stimulus checks in every U.S. state? You're ready to do LA 202 again? Let's go over LA 202. What are the forced stimulus checks that are in every U.S. state? There's several of them. Let's go over each of them one at a time. And again, these are in the membership newsletter. So pull that membership newsletter in front of you and follow along right now. The first check that is in every U.S. state of those forced stimulus checks is Check A. Check A is a forced stimulus check that's in every U.S. state. It pays $6,500 to $12,000. It's a forced stimulus check, again, in every U.S. state. Let's say it again. And it is called the Homeowners Weatherizing Grant Check. Income qualification is $75,000 less, single individual. Married couple, $150,000 less. Yes, you can get it. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, you can get it like thousands of other viewers have gotten it. That incredible check is Check A, and it's in every U.S. state. Now, that's not the only check of forced stimulus checks that are in every U.S. state. Let's go to the next one. Check. Ooh. What happened? I just went from A to C. Let me see if it's this one. No, it's not that one either. There you are. Someone's playing with my graphics. Check B. Check B is a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Check B is a $15,000 to $80,000 forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. Income qualification the same as A. Single individual, $75,000 less, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 less, you can get it. This is called the Homeowners Grant Check. And viewers on SSI and SSDI have cleaned up. The average view of this channel has gotten $66,000 to $80,000 of checks. Let's go to the third check that is in every U.S. state. And that check is Check C. We just went over A, we went over B, now we're going to Check C. Check C is a forced stimulus check that is in every U.S. state. It pays anywhere from about $2,000 a month over 12 months to upwards of $150,000. It's a forced stimulus check in every U.S. state. I consider it a forced stimulus check because it's paying now, but the funds were created under third stimulus. So let me just make that clear for you because it's a little strange, especially when stimulus packages overlap. This forced stimulus check is in every U.S. state. This is rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and more. There you go. Almost finished with LATE 202. A forced stimulus check is available in every U.S. state as Check A. A forced stimulus check is available in every U.S. state as Check B. A forced stimulus check is available in every U.S. state as Check C. Now, when we turn to Check D in 1 second, it's a little bit different. Check D is not in every U.S. state, unlike Check A, B, and C. It's in the majority of U.S. states. It's in over 24 states, spanning to 40 states. It's the newest check. I expect it to span to more than 40 to 45 states in just a few days. It's about $2,000 on average. How do you learn about that Check D? It's detailed in the membership newsletter. So there you go. That is LATE 202. Can you do it without looking at the graphics? Let's see if I can do it without looking at it. Of course I can. Let's see if you can repeat it back without looking at the graphics. Let's see if you memorized it, or if you have the newsletter in front of you. See if you can sort of cover it up, not look at the newsletter, and then say, okay, Check A. That's first. That's easy. A goes first. Yeah. Okay. So is Check A available in every U.S. state? Yeah, it is. Good. Okay. Next question. Is Check B available in every U.S. state? Yes, it is. Good. 2 for 2. Check C. Is Check C available in every U.S. state? Yes, it is. Is Check D available in every U.S. state? No, it's not. Good. You passed. You passed for LATE 202. You've done it. You've absolutely done it. All right, you're ready for LATE 303. LATE 303 is now you're ready to go get a check. In LATE 303, we're just getting one check. I just want you to get one of them. And when you get one of them, you feel so good. You feel so good. And here you go. How do you get one of these checks? I'm going to show you how to get each of those checks, and you ultimately decide which one you want to do first based upon who you are. Remember, if you're a homeowner, I got some checks for you. If you're a renter, I got some checks for you. And we're going to go over those different checks right now. And you choose whichever one you want to get first. You know what I recommend? Get the easiest of the checks first. Or whatever skill set you like. If you're a person who likes, going to a website, maybe do that one. If you're a person who likes using the phone, maybe do the other one. And you're ready? Okay, let's go get one of these checks. If you're going to go get Check A, how do you do it? Very simple. If you want to get Check A, you go into the membership newsletter. And you go in that incredible membership newsletter, and you go right down to the first few lines, and it says Check A. Gives you information about it, and then gives you a link to a website where you click and go in and apply for Check A. How simple is that? I put it in a newsletter, and I give you the link, and I say, here, go apply for Check A. How easy is that, folks? That is wonderful. That's why people love the newsletter. Check B. How do you go get Check B? Same way as Check A. You go into the newsletter. Check B is right under Check A. You go right down there and you click the link in Check B, and it sends you into a different website, and you apply. How simple is that? I send you the newsletter, you go right in and you apply. Check A is in every state. Check B is in every state. Okay, that is the skill set for A and B. If you like clicking things with your phone, clicking things with your computer, you like typing in your name or putting in your name in a website and putting your address, Check A and B is so up your street. Very, very simple. All right, Check C is for people who like to talk, who like to communicate verbally. And that may be the check you want to start with first, if that's more your speed. If you like to talk, you like to pick up the phone and call, then Check C is very much your style. Check C involves picking up the phone and contacting a series of places. And which places you're going to contact? Let's go over the details of that right now. Now, remember, before I tell you where to call, it's also in the membership newsletter. In the membership newsletter, you go right down to Check C. And I actually tell you, call here. I say, call here. And then I say, this is what you say when you call. How easy is that? I don't only tell you where to call, I tell you what to say when you call. And then I tell you what to do when you're calling. And then I say, these are the places you're going to call. Now, Check C, so simple. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, State House Authority. And you're going to also reach out to the Sound of Nonprofits. You're going to contact 15 places. That went really fast, didn't it? It did go fast, but that's why it's all in the newsletter. I don't need to slow it down because it's all in the newsletter. What are the keywords you're going to say? I'm going to say them quickly. Rent assistance because of COVID. Utility assistance because of COVID. Mortgage assistance because of COVID. They're all in the newsletter, those keywords you say, and then you apply. Very simple. Very simple. I'm telling you what to do, how to do it. It's all put together for you like a recipe for zucchini boats. Uh, it's just like a recipe for zucchini boats. I can't give you the river to put the boat in, but I can give you the recipe to make the zucchini boat, go down the river. So there you go. That is check A, check B, and check C. So far, do you know how to do that? I think you do. Check A, you go into the newsletter. Check B, you go into the newsletter. Check C, you go into the newsletter. Pretty simple. Check D, where do you go to that? Into the newsletter. Well, this is getting sort of easy. Yeah, you just keep on going into the newsletter. You go right down in there. Once to the newsletter, how do you do check A? There's a website in check A. You click and you apply. Okay. Check B. There's a website. You apply. Okay, I got it. Check C. I pick up the phone on that one. That's the one I call. Yeah. Check D. Check D is a little bit different. Check D is different because it's different in every state, generally. So check D is detailed in the newsletter. What does the newsletter have? The newsletter has the 24 plus states that are doing it, check D. And for that one, you just go in there and read about it. It is too hard to go into any more detail on a state level. Let me tell you an example. For example, in check D, you may have one state that says, we're sending out a $2,000 check for individuals who are 75,000 or less. That's the information I have for you. So you may say, what date? I don't have that information. Other states may say, when you file your 2020 tax return, you request this check and it gets put here on the tax return. I don't know what line of the tax return it is. I don't know what item it is, but I have the information for what it generally is. Because I can't do 24 applications for you. It's too overwhelming. It would overwhelm you. I'm giving you the guidance of where the actual check is. And there you go. Choose one of those checks and go get it. That's your homework for tonight. Your homework for tonight is go get check A, B, or C, and then read about check D. And if check D is something in your state you apply for, then go get it. I want you to get an application on file today for check A, check B, or check C. I want you to do the application for check A, do the application for check B, or I want you to make a phone call for check C. Now, in tomorrow's recording, we're going to go over LATE 303. In LATE 303, we're going to go and get a second check. And this is really going to ramp up at check C. Why? Because you're likely by the end of today to have gotten one of the check C's approved. But I'm going to show you how to get lots of the check C's approved. Wow. So proud of you. Now, let's go back to Joe and his deficit reduction statement. Joe Biden saying that he's going to be more frugal on deficit spending. You know what? There was a new quote out yesterday that said that the president's unhappy about his low approval ratings, with 54% of Americans disapproving him and only 44% approving him. And insiders of the White House said he blames the media for not going after conservative publications that are deeply critical about him. Today, liberal publications were deeply critical about this. I mean, if you want to stand good in the press's eyes, then don't put out a news statement like this. That is so untrue, Joe. This is so untrue. I mean, you proposed Build Back Better Act. You know it's getting passed, and it's still passed by the House, Senate, and the Senate. So it's still active, and you don't include it in the calculation of your statement about deficit spending. And moreover, I would even question the liberal publication. I would think that he may have also left out some of the Ukrainian money. It's just really not an accurate statement. Now, since we're talking about not accurate statements, let's stay on that subject matter. Let's go to six stimulus. Six stimulus has just been all over the place. This is oil and wheat and grain. I talked about it earlier in this video. And the president's done nothing for wheat. He's done nothing for oil, releasing 1 million barrels a day from the U.S. strategic reserves through June. I think it was through June. No, 6 months. It was 6 months. And it doesn't work because not enough oil, because there's 3 million barrels a day missing from Russia. And then it was 1.5 million barrels missing a day because the OPEC plus countries did reduce production. So we do not have enough gasoline worldwide. The shortage is causing the prices to stay inherently high, 108 a barrel for Brent crude. And the U.S. pump price at the pump national average is 414, 405 every night on this channel for 3 months. I told you it's not sustainable until the month of May. We're in the month of May. And I told you that the price of bread at the current loaf of bread at the supermarket, unsustainable until the month of May. We're in the month of May. So that means we're going to recession. We're going to recession. There's no way else to say about this. Now, yesterday, I want to run this quote again because I hope you heard it, and I may put it on a plaque. It's one of the best quotes I've had in a while, and I'm losing it here. Am I going to find the quote? Maybe I lost the quote on set. No, I think I found the quote. The quote is from billionaire hedge fund manager Paul Tudor Jones. He basically says, folks, this economy is really going in a tailspin. Do not look for anything that's rosy-posy. Do not think that anything is going to be great the rest of this year, and it's going to get very bad later on. He says, if you think you can't think of a worse environment than we're in right now for financial assets. Ouch. Clearly, you don't want to own bonds or don't want to own stocks. Now, he's not saying sell. He's just saying if you don't want to buy more. He then says this is uncharted territory. What's my takeaway as we go into a big evening today? My takeaway is right now, get every darn penny you can. I'm glad you found this channel. You found this channel just in the nick of time. Why? You need to get every penny I got for you. You need to get check A, you need to get check B, you need to get check C and check D. And when I get you check E and F, when that comes around the pipeline, because it's going to come in the next 3 days, you want to get those checks as well. You want to be a member and stay a member. Because by the end of this year, it's going to be very, very, very bad, this U.S. economy. It's going to be very bad. And my projections have so far been right on this channel since early spring of last year economically. This is my projections. Inflation will come down a little bit, but not much. It'll track at 4% by the end of the year. GDP will shrink fast from 6.9% 30 days ago to, I'm projecting, to around 0% by the end of the year, then into a -% next year for a 2-year recession. Yeah, you heard me right. That housing starts will continue to be down. They're down 4 consecutive months. They'll get worse. That supply of houses for sale on the market will grow until there's an oversaturation of homes for sale and no buyers. Mortgage rates will surge higher, closer and closer to 6%, as no one will be able to afford that as well. And suddenly people will be looking and saying, where do I invest? There's nothing good to invest in. Stocks are down. Stocks will be down. Crypto will be down. Bonds will be down. Housing and real estate will be down. And guess what? That's what happens in recession. Suddenly you look left and right and nothing looks good. And then suddenly you're like, save. And that's what Tudor says in that quote. You gotta save. You gotta save. And you gotta prepare for the worst. And the way you prepare for the worst, you should get the big checks today. Become a member. And this is how we've won as a channel. I'm so proud of you. You did so well on LA 101. You did so well on LA 202. By the time I was recording the second video this week, some people were already on to LA 404. That's tomorrow when I show you how to get that second check. I need you, if you're new to this channel, to get really caught up. I need you to watch older videos from earlier this week or watch other videos on this channel throughout the day. Remember, there's 24 hours of programming running on this channel. You heard me right. Shows run on this channel 24 hours a day going over check A, B, and C. You need to learn this yourself. There's no community volunteer who can teach you to learn. You need to learn it yourself. You need to open that newsletter, watch the videos or listen to the newsletter, and repeat back what I just said, what check A is, what check B is, and what check C is. Then you have to get ready to apply for a check once you've learned what it is. For everyone that does that, you're going to be such a wonderful community. We're going to be such a wonderful community with hundreds of new members every single day. I'm so proud of you, where we're going together. And we're next going to Evenings LA tonight at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Can't wait to see you. We'll be recapping more about what Jay Powell said today, the Federal Reserve Chair. Stay informed, stay focused, have a beautiful day, and stay with LA for more.